Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premier media response show, and of course it's time to talk about some drag racery. I'm Nico, and you guys can check me out online at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
I'm Jonah. You can find me places at Peak Jonah.
And that makes me your producer, KEVO. You can find me at KEVO Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what things you would like us to cover in the future. But today we've got some Palooza in to do. We love a good Palooza.
We do. We prefer it if Ru Farrell does not punch Michelle Navarro in the face, but we take what we can get.
We do.
I want to say, in the first place, one of the things that's really cool about this week is that I genuinely liked both episodes this week, and I thought it was because like the music quality was really high. I do love a good palooza when the paloozation, the paloozinating is to Ru songs. I think that's the shit that really works for me. But I don't know. How did you guys feel about the Palooza-ing this time about?
Here's where I was a little disappointed. I do like when it's to Ru songs, and I think for Global All-Stars, in and of itself, choosing Ru songs is really appropriate. I would have done remixes of all of them, or like 2024 Global All-Star updates.
Yes.
Because it just, I don't know, there was a little bit of a lack of fanfare, again, for the fact that this is Global All-Stars. This is queens from all over getting to do these songs. I think it would have been really cool to give something a little bit more, and to, again, highlight the fact that this is it ought to be a bigger competition. It ought to be something that feels bigger.
How about you, Jonah?
Here's what I will say. I had a grand old time. I think it's a perfect song choice and song repertoire that you should have for Global All-Stars. This is RuPaul's show. And this is many of the girls, more than 75% of the cast, first time ever meeting Ru. You should know her songs. It's her show. It's her global domination of the drag world. Know her songs. I was really excited just kind of see everyone back. Everyone looked great. Everyone, kind of felt excited to be there and like want to actually win. I guess it's because as much as I, in retrospect, really enjoyed and appreciated All Stars 9 for what it was, some of the lip syncs, I think people could have pushed harder in their performances. And here to see people have that drive to want to win, I think was really kind of just refreshing and exciting again. Not that didn't happen on All Stars 9, but some of those lip syncs, I think some people didn't want to win. And I really, everything about this episode I think felt correct, felt right. I hear what you're saying, that it's just because it's just RuPaul songs. There's nothing really special about this. It's about the songs themselves. They're not remixes. They're not, the German house club techno remix. It's not the, French ballad version of it or whatever, insert whatever. It's, the same stuff. So it can feel a little repetitive. But at the end of the day, I really appreciate this episode for what it was, especially with the beautiful sponsorship seamlessly of Klarna.
Okay, I just need to be really clear. I need Selene doing a Mon Amour Cha-Cha Bitch remix because now that you've said French ballad, that's where my brain's at. I need some nonsense. But no, I do need to point out that you are correct. In fact, like, I'm just surprised that Drew Barrymore didn't show up and wasn't just like, you guys, have you guys ever used this unbelievable sales thing? It's like amazing. And like, it was that level of celebrity stupid ad endorsement. Only there were no celebrities here. And like, I have to wonder if Alyssa was the one who was like, I'm not doing that. And they were like, no, you should. And she was like, no. And they were like, but you should. And she was like, no. I really cannot stress enough. It was like, what was it, KEVO? Was it One Tree Hill where the characters are like, oh my God, look at how this app just figures out whatever's on the radio for me.
That was one of the worst I ever saw. Also, the Sun-Kissed Summer Jam.
Sun-Kissed!
We love Sun-Kissed here in North Carolina.
There were multiple Sun-Kissed product placements on that show, and it was so good.
There's that Modern Family tag where they're like, "Oh, our backup cam will help us escape." Yeah, there's definitely moments. This was definitely one where Klarna definitely sticks out very large, especially when it's this kind of block letter lip sync LaLaPaRuZa logo in comparison to, no offense, my lovely LaLaPaRuZa logo. So, it's not like you can't do more, Ru. Just saying. And I definitely hear what both Jonah and TK are saying, because I also feel that there is a nostalgia and a sentiment factor of there being RuPaul songs for this global LaLaPaRuZa. We've been talking all season about how the lip sync songs they've been choosing are things that are, universal, phenomena of all songs, Spice Girls. So to have it be Ru and that be a binding thing for the LaLaPaRuZa, for global, I think that was great. But yeah, I'm with TK. Some kind of imagining for 2024, something to make it stand out. And I think that also speaks to what we've been saying about global, where they just aren't going that extra mile for it being a global competition that we really want to see.
And I just want to say that, I try not to go on Reddit if I have my pants on. So it's because no one has anything good to say there. So when I go on Reddit and occasionally look at the Reddit Drag Race subreddit, I get so mad at myself. And I read this one response that was like, I really wanted Gala to turn it out, but she lost every one of her lip syncs. I have no idea what the judges were thinking. And I think actually, moreover, what I thought was unfortunate about this season was I realized the same girls lip sanged a bunch of times. And so it almost started to feel like mini bosses in a video game where did you defeat Gala? No, go back to start. It felt almost unfortunate that then these same girls, I would have loved it a little more if instead of maybe switching up the music, I would have maybe more appreciated switching up who they were dancing against. If they won, they stayed in the competition. But if the global all-star from whatever season, from whatever country edition wins, the money goes to a charity. It would have been cool to maybe see something a little different. And I understand how that would suspend the rules of what we have come to understand at the LaLaPaRuZa. But considering, again, I just need to say one more time, you guys, she's referencing Perry Farrell. This is fucking nonsense in the first place, okay?
Yeah.
Although I just need to say one more time, now that I've seen both Henry Rollins' appearances on Drag Race and Dragula, I feel like I can officially call him Dad again. I love him so much. He means everything to me. Hi, Henry. Hi, Dad. No, I really would have preferred maybe different contestants. It's not that these girls weren't good, but I've seen them dance against each other. Mama, I don't know how to stay in, but or how to stay out. I don't know. But this was not. I just wasn't excited to see the same girls face off against the same girls and constantly talk about it was the same girls versus the same girls. Do you know what we call that in porn? Unsubscribe. That is, do you know what we call that in music? Oh, I'm not going to buy the next record. It's been the same songs 3 times in a row. On a TV show, we call it repetitive or redundant. And yet here we're like, oh no, it's the same kind of music and they're dancing against each other again.
Yeah, I love that we all are on the fly just kind of spitballing ideas, any of which would work better for, again, making this feel a little bit special. And Nico, your other point of there's not actually rules. This is, you're just borrowing a word from Perry Farrell and turning it into a RuPaul brand, which good for you. But we don't actually need to do this a particular way. We could, because it's global, we could suspend the rules. They could have done it Olympic style and, given people bronze, silver, and gold medals rather than doing it bracket style. There's just a bunch of different ways to do this, any of which would have both changed things up, maybe been a little more within the content, less repetitive, and also just at some point spoken to the fact that this is supposed to be a bigger deal. This is supposed to be a celebration of drag internationally, and at some point that should mean kicking up some higher higher value ideas.
And I feel like that's not quite what I got from this LaLaPaRuZa. I kept thinking there would be anything unique, but end of the day, what I got was a really good paint by the numbers. Like Michael Bay movies still make money. So, you can be predictable and beautiful and still make the people happy. There's nothing wrong with that. Although evidently you can't be a Transformers movie and make money anymore. But I think one of the things that really made this episode fun and interesting is how many of these girls I feel like this is certainly my last time getting to see. Now, this year alone, myself and any arrangement of these guys have seen something like 20 of the girls from Drag Race of the last couple of years, and it's been really exciting, and I've enjoyed getting to do my Drag Race, visual education. But I will probably not get to see Tessa. I will probably not get to see Vanity. Gala, maybe if there's a North American thing going on, but one of the things that this really represented as an opportunity culturally was the American audience to exchange the idea of what it means to be global, what it means to be something different. There is such an isolationism to the idea of the English experience, and that everybody kind of bends to the idea of American English. Yet one of the things that this show has sought not to do is give a shit about your American English, and some of these girls are just going to shout what they're going to shout. And that's literally the best thing you can do on a show called Global All-Stars. Celebrate the globality of it. If there was something that did make this unique, it's I don't think I'll get to see Eva La Queen again anytime soon. It's that other than the fact that we're going to start dating. Hey, Pathia. I don't know when I'm gonna get to see her on stage again, right? Because again, Pathia, hey girl, call me anytime. I'll be your Greek boy. I love you. Yeah, I just feel very much like we've reached a point where at least this episode gave me a sense of identity and closure for my relationship with some of these girls, which is something you really can't say about any season of Drag Race. If there is this ability for even first outs to come back in an All-Stars or another season, there is no one who has a finality on Drag Race by virtue of going home. This is a different situation for me, and it was a really lovely send-off for a number of these girls.
I definitely agree. It was really fun to see them all again, and it was... the thing about doing the Girls Come Back LaLaPaRuZa is there is always this air of like, we're just here to have fun, like we've already lost and we're not doing any drama about the competition. It's just a day to wear good looks and lip sync some songs and put on a good show. And I really got that from Eva. I really got that from Miranda. And at the end of the day, I was really happy with the winner too. I love Soa. And she brought this really kind of grateful, happy energy to the whole thing that made me, it sort of brought some of the heart back to the competition that I felt for Global All-Stars has maybe been a little lost, not due to anything on the part of the girls, but just due to the fact that, again, I don't feel like production is celebrating enough that they made this monumental accomplishment of creating this global brand and then being able to bring together its various incarnations. So I don't know, this helped ease that a little bit and was uniquely enjoyable because, exactly as you said, we may not get to see these girls a lot in the future, and so getting to have them back again was special and fun.
I love that. How do you guys feel about saying goodbye to a number of these girls and kind of having to forge forward in this? And we're going to talk about the finalists. I can't wait to talk about the top four because much like this top four, everybody's got a place there. Everybody's got validity. I guess I'm I really want to be the Queen Kong, but I guess I'll be the Alyssa. But no, that's really what's really fun about this top four. They're all very different, and I can't wait to get to them. But how do you guys, Jonah and KEVO, feel about saying goodbye to this unbelievable international cavalcade of characters?
You want me to go? Oh, you're muted.
Why am I muted?
Well, now you're good, so go for it,
Very
boy.
good, yeah.
That was very weird that someone
Crazy.
automatically. Things are crazy out here, y'all. I am gonna miss a lot of these girls, and especially people like Atina and Miranda, who went home a little bit earlier, and I felt like I didn't get the fullest of opportunity to meet them. That's just how regular Drag Race works. If they're gonna do an elimination style like that, and it's on an All Stars where you kind of know everybody a little bit, that's just how it works. But I think these two. Even in the makeover challenge and this episode kind of show why that they were invited, and I really appreciate that there were these smaller redemption arcs that some of these girls got to have to be able to showcase themselves a little bit more, especially if they've gone home early on Global All Stars. And, and Atina talked about it, going home first on this season probably stings the most, especially going from finalist to first out, kind of iconic. I really do want to agree with TK that I was so happy that Soa won. Her joy and how much she was smiling during lip syncing, like she was just so happy to be there, was infectious. It was so lovely to watch. I'm so happy she won, especially after that really messed up comment that Michelle made to her. I really appreciate that she got her flowers, and we got to see a lot of these girls come back. So, but it's a bittersweet feeling because we're going to see them again for the finale. We're going to see what their beautiful looks that they're going to come out with. But then, yeah, they're not going to come back. Alyssa has made appearances on Drag Race different seasons where she comes and guest choreographs for a number for whatever. So it's not like we're never going to see Alyssa on US Drag Race again, because I'm sure she would love to come back as a choreographer for something, which is the Drag Race, which is anybody from Drag Race watching, bring Laganja for a choreographer, please. I want Laganja to come back in that capacity.
I just want to. That's one of the reasons I need Nelly to win, because then she can be on any show.
Exactly, and it's we might see Kitty or Queen come back in their respective UK seasons, but those are Ru hosted and English speaking. It's a little bit more broader that we might be able to see them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see Nelly perform live unless she ever comes to the States.
Yeah.
And, I hope that the fan reaction is enough that a lot of people are interested in bringing her over and flying her over, having her, do something. Maybe they'll do a global. I don't think they're going to do a global All Stars tour, but I would love if they did that. If
Jonah,
it was international between the US to Europe to wherever they can go.
I have an important question for you, Jonah. What did we serve you for dinner Sunday night?
Sunday night? Oh, margarita pizza. No, it's not margarita pizza.
It really was on Sunday. It was really margarita pizza.
It was not intentional, but lovely all the same. So ultimately, I think it's a bittersweet feeling that these are really cool girls. And I mean, we get to watch them on their original season. We get to go back and see the stars that they are on their original seasons. And so I'm excited for that. But, I'm going to miss this group of girls.
The girls wound up more magical than the season, which is kind of the thing that's more important. You know what I mean? Because I can't watch this season newly. I can't go see this season on tour, but I can see any of these girls on tour should they come to the States or should I be overseas. And that's sort of that's kind of the dream, where you get to continue on with these girls who you come to care about so much. I'm going to miss every one of them. Some of them a little bit more than others, but end of the day, it was a really good season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great season. It was, the girls really were special. I mean, what it always comes down to is the girls are always special, and the girls always make it something special, and they are who we connect with. But I stand by all the criticisms I've had about the actual show itself and production. But yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun. It was really interesting, and I just feel like it shows a lot of promise for a future of Global All Stars, even if this really is their kind of All Stars 1 moment.
And for that reason, I am really excited to see where we go in the future. I kind of hope it is like the Olympics. We can do one of these every 4 years or so, but we cannot be doing them regularly. We just don't have the international queen bandwidth.
I think that's even what worries me, though. I hear what you're saying, that we can't have it more than every few years, but then this was the first one, and we were so underwhelmed. And now I'm anxious that just like we spent all this time anticipating this one, we're going to anticipate the next one, and it might just ultimately be this kind of disappointment. And that would certainly womp. I don't want that. I'll make this face if that happens. I don't think that this should be every year. That's for sure. That would definitely be too much. So much television is taking giant breaks anyway. So if it was every other year, it's not like it would be different from many other shows. But especially because of the question that you posed to us earlier that I want to swing back to. Yeah, I am bummed because you're right. There's a lot of queens that we probably won't have an opportunity to see much from again, especially if even if it's like Canada versus the world or UK versus the world, they're going to want to bring other queens. So it's not like, we can constantly, although maybe one of these girls will Alyssa, who knows. But yeah, it was really great to see everyone again. I'm really glad that we are doing this thing of instead of a drama reunion, it is a lip syncing reunion. And it's getting to see everyone come back and perform again and have fun. It's a nice opportunity for the girls to get to win extra prizes. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this experiment, and I'll be sad to see a lot of these girls go.
And, speaking of seeing these girls go, I think the thing I would be saddest about is if Global had no impact on Drag Race worldwide. It's called World of Wonder. Kind of live up to it. It's not called Single Nation of Wonder. It really is meant to represent the world of drag. And, as you heard on the show, I've begun, not just this episode, but I've begun my Dragula, let's go with road of discovery. Some of it's beautiful, some of it's horrible. Madeline, I am in love with you. And it has certainly been a journey, but one of the things that it does remind me is just how far beyond the realm of just what this show demonstrates is the world of drag. And one of the things that it even makes me think more is how much this show seems to be afraid of its other forms of drag. We talk a lot about how there's challenges that don't translate back into foreign editions, or I should say international editions. They're foreign to me, but American sure is foreign to the international market in many ways as well. So certainly not meant as a pejorative. But I think about how this didn't reflect non-American challenges. And that is something I would like to see be a little different in the next iteration. Maybe show us what it's like to watch Drag Race Belgique and what makes it unique and different than Drag Race America, which I know in and out. So surprise me already.
Yeah, and if they did something like that, if they made it more unique, I think they even could justify doing it more regularly. But this exact thing again next year, it's just a regular season of Drag Race, guys. So we don't need an extra one of those. We already have a lot of them. Do something fun with this. Do something bold with this.
Now, that's even what I feel is kind of the fascinating thing about this season of Drag Race UK. And of course, we can cycle right back to Global, not a problem at any point. But that's actually we were watching, God, what were we watching today? Where we were hearing UK accents and we were talking about how,
no. And we were like, they sound like they're from Manchester.
Yeah, we were watching something in the last day or two where we were saying how it even reminded us of the UK queens from last season who talked about being Manchester girls,
girls, yeah,
how it was such a unique experience that there was a divine cliquishness to Series 5 of UK, which we ultimately found didn't fulfill us the way we would have hoped. Yet this series of UK, these girls are so different, and I love every one of them more than the last. I think I would probably pay the most to see Lavoie in performance because I feel like she probably puts on the thing closest to a Vegas residency. But Octavia, Karen, I think these are some of the most talented queens I've seen in any edition, any nation. I really think these are some of the absolute best queens I have been lucky enough to see. But then I do also want to say Lil looks like she should be on Dragula. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna get it out. I'm gonna get it out now. Ladies, gentlemen, move. Let's ring the alarm. What did I say? What did I say? I was going to start referring to whom as. Who did I say I was going to give a nickname? And then later that episode, what did Rue do? Rue stole my nickname. And you know why she did it? Because she does not want any ideas that aren't mine. Rue, call me. I can give you all of these ideas first, Mama. I love you. But
Rue
I decided
would adore you.
I would.
She would find you fascinating.
I would fracking worship her. So,
You're stupid.
I'm
Fracking.
stupid. I started calling her Lisa, and then so did Rue, and now I just want to cry.
That's after she stole Relisa Slaves from you. I think you did it first.
I am all cried out.
Wow.
My body never knew such pleasure, and my heart never knew such pain.
Crazy.
Anyway, Charity is super cute out of drag. I thought Kiki had the best verse of the night, of the episode, of the top 40 charts. I loved it. Super in.
I argue Lisa and no copyright. I thought she actively had one of the best verses, point blank period, in the history of Drag Race ever. I mean, she's literally featured on a Becky G song as Relisa. Like, girl's a professional. She's also so insanely gorgeous in and out of drag. It's not fair. It's not fair. I don't know what to do with myself because now I question: was I ever gay, or do I have to like delve into this like bi-pan fantasy because her in and out of drag? Also,
you just want to be your dad.
I appreciate the comments of, damn, Rihanna will really compete on a whole new season of Drag Race instead of releasing a new album. Like, actually, release the album.
Yeah, I think I was very much also team Lisa when it came to the verse. Here's what I will say. I don't think they should be allowed to be. I don't think Kiki and Relisa should be allowed to be on teams together. It's too much power. It is just unfair to everybody else. Their whole thing wound up just slapping at a different level than the other version of the song. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I genuinely appreciated having two versions of the same song to work with. It's tough because, like, I don't want to hear the same song 100 times. But, like, as per my treatment in the background, hey, everybody, you can check it out on SoundCloud, YouTube Music. If you want to hear my treatment of it, you maybe can hear a version with the vocals coming up for Halloween. But it's actually a pretty strong bass. And, like, one of the things as a piece of music it kind of represents is that, like, magical Halloween, Stephanie moment, right? But not the Halloween moment she's having. That's so funny. When Lady Gaga purposely does a Halloween costume, it's bad. But when everything she does is a Halloween costume, it's fine. Examples of bad, Joanne and Harley. Examples of good, Her in the Morning.
Just her life, waking up, acting like a person, or trying to. What's funny is you said Stephanie, and I, of course, flashed on Germanata first, obviously. But then I was like, oh, Stephanie Meyer. Vampires. Spooky. Stephanies are spooky, maybe. Interesting.
Spooky Stephanies. And one of the things...
Great drag name.
Yeah, right. I'm going to start calling all creepy drag queens Spooky Stephanies. Hey, girls. This was a little maybe one of those episodes where I think we need to start focusing in on what is spooky or horror. Like, everybody gets to express whatever they want, however they want. And I am an Octavia super stan, for sure. And I am a Kieran super stan, for sure. But, like, we did have some moments where I'm like, we're just kind of looking like silly costumey stuff, and like I'm not really getting like the spooky and like,
Yes.
oh, that is.
Yes. 1989 McDonald's plastic reusable trick-or-treat bag. Yeah.
That's where that McDonald's E. coli outbreak is coming from, Lavoie. I want you to understand, I am a humongous Lavoie fan. I'm in love, but not good.
Oh, and I love Silly Halloween, but it's a little, it's...
I
Yeah.
mean,
Go back
I
to
do
Party
have to
City where you
give
belong.
Lavoie credit for being the one who sang.
Gorgeous.
And
And
really
sang so good.
and sang so well for this song too. Yeah, the outfit was a little insane. I mean, it's funny. This group, the Dracula's Child, was much more cohesive as a group, and overall their number was just a little tighter. But it's one of those things where sometimes something that's a little messier can have more heart and be more fun. And again, like I do think that part of it was that the Things had Kiki and Relisa, who really brought so much talent and energy to the whole thing that it was just like kind of a lock at that point. But like their number was a little bit it wasn't just that Lil was not great in the number. They also just like as a whole, not everybody quite had it together. And I found myself upon reviewing the episode later still like really gravitating towards this team that I was like, did they actually do better? It's tough to say if you had to score it with just numbers. You might even say they didn't do better, but there was something about the vibe of it and the heart of it and just the fun that I had with the Things number that ultimately I had to say they won, even if I would have said that like the form and technique of Dracula's Child was maybe objectively better.
I hear what you're saying. I think the Things had just had such higher highs between Kiki and Relisa that
Yeah.
there kind of really was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
contest.
Yeah,
I
it really
agree
was no
with my-
contest. I just like, but I'm still, part of me is like, why was it no contest?
Which is, I think, because there was just something off, just a little bit about the energies with Dracula's Child. I think between, Marmalade and Chanel being a little bit not like dancers. I think they still did well. They still performed well. But when you have Kyron, who's a little bit more skilled above them, and then you have people like Zahira and Octavia, who come across as more high energy performers, I think they didn't balance the energies the best for their group for the right formula. I think maybe the Things did a little bit better in that regard, even if Lil, I think unfortunately was the weakest in the performances. I think still between Lavoie and Charity, they were able to amp it up as much as they could to try to match Relisa and Kiki.
It's really interesting because so you brought up that Relisa is on a track with Becky G. Okay, so then let me ask a very serious question. What's too far? What is literally too professional? If you're featured on a track with a guest judge, are you too big to compete? Because, like, I'm being absolutely hyperbolic here, but what happens if Paul Giamatti wakes up tomorrow and wants to be the world's ugliest drag queen and calls himself Miss Sideways and starts competing? Like, what do we do? Of course, he would only look like Virginia Madsen in drag. But what would we do with that? What is too successful at what you do to be a contestant on one of these shows anymore?
It's a fair question. I mean, like, sadly, at this point, we have no look into the selection process. But I don't think it's an unreasonable question at all.
I don't think it's an unreasonable question, but I don't know if I still agree with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then anybody who's won a pageant title of any kind, and there, many pageant winners hold many pageant titles, then how is that fair? This is one of the biggest pageants in the world.
Let me ask a question. Do pageants pay out money over time and have streams on Spotify where people can go and watch the pageant by the billions?
No.
And that's the difference. If you have a track by Becky G, you're on Spotify, so you're literally available to 4 billion people. And if you're in a pageant, you were able to be seen by as many people know about that pageant. And it is a different market.
But I feel like just for this discussion, it comes across that the question is, if you're too successful in your field, how is it fair? And this was a conversation we've had a little bit about Sasha Colby. Sasha Colby was very well known, literally had a storyline in the previous season due to her daughter being on. And, many people knew who Sasha was going into it. Everybody thought it was Sasha's season to lose. I imagine there are some people that were backup dancers for big celebrities. I can't name them. I don't know if that's actually true, but I feel like we've had good enough dancers on the show that that's possible.
But that's my point. You can name that she was on a track with Becky G, but not who danced for someone. I think that's my point.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's fully fair to say for what is still considered a niche art form, you're too famous to be on here.
I really hear you. It's the question I'm asking, because if you have millions coming in, how is it fair to compete against someone who doesn't? It's why the show is becoming too expensive.
Something that I like to say a lot is that we sort of approach this like a sport, and we analyze it, a little bit like it's a sport. And I think it does beg the question of what are the levels of professionalism? And, I hear what you're saying about Sasha Colby, but I don't think the answer is necessarily, well, because Sasha Colby did it, it's okay. I think the question is more, all right, well, then should Sasha Colby have done it? It happened now. Now it was 2 years ago, so it's already passed. But, we need to be asking these questions, especially as more and more time goes on. We're coming up on season 17 of the main show. We're coming up on 20 years. So, how are we going to start elevating this? It's elevated the art form so much over the last decade and a half. So now we do really need to be asking these questions.
I guess maybe I'm just hesitant because if someone has resources that other people don't, many drag queens talk about how they sometimes come from a hard life, that they have nothing, they're not rich, they don't have connections, and they come essentially with pennies and a dream. And some people don't. Some people have had a wonderful life, have had opportunities, have had the resources available, whatever those look like. I swear I'm not trying to come across as like some corporate bootlicker. I just maybe feel a little way of saying, if you have connections of certain kinds due to whatever that reason you have those connections, that you would be barred from competing. I guess maybe I feel a little funny about.
It's why NBA people can't be in the Olympics, and why MLB players can't be in the Olympics. If you've been paid for a professional thing, you can no longer compete as though you are an amateur.
That's why I was trying to compare it to sport.
Yeah.
And I think we've even talked about there should be different programs for different styles of competition and different levels of competition. I don't think anyone said the word barred, but we're talking about what should be the levels of talent we should be looking at from girls. Should Sugar and Spice have competed against someone of Sasha's caliber?
It's like, if somebody's been on The Voice, can they be on American Idol? Maybe. If somebody's been on Top 40 Radio, can they be on American Idol? I would say no. And so if somebody's been in another pageant, can they be in this pageant? Sure. If somebody's been in a situation where we're talking 7 figures, can they compete with people who are literally working at a Quick Check? It seems unfair. And so that is where I really understand why so many queens are kind of hesitant to compete financially. But that is sort of what's kind of magic about when you hear these stories of these girls who are able to do it with a look that cost $10 versus these girls who spent a zillion dollars. And so, like, sometimes I'll be honest, I have some friends who have taken a lot of acting lessons or singing lessons or dancing lessons or writing lessons, have been in like comedy workshopping groups, and they have 21 years of community development of storytelling and talent. And I know people who have just picked up the art form that blow them away. So it really is not all about resources and means. It can also just be about raw talent showing through at a really powerful volume, which I also very do understand.
Our Project Runway queen favorite, it was Anya, I think, who made one look completely out of Tulle because
I've only been
she
designing
lost
for 1
her
year.
material.
It's no big deal.
She just taught herself how to sew, and she went all the way to the top. So, like, yeah, it's what we're talking about, I think, is an overall more scrutinized screening process, because yeah, there are plenty of queens who don't have connections that need more of a leg up, because then you do end up with some of the most amazing talent you've ever seen. And it's why you want to be making sure that the entire playing field is level for everyone at the level of competition that you're looking for.
Total Knockout, you have nodded at what everyone has said so far. So I would love to know your thoughts on sort of like the nature of where drag has gone. When we were talking about something that in season 1 was an underground art form where, you know, the prize was less than the taxes they'd pay on it, to now where, as we pointed out in the global edition, sometimes the prize makes you a trillionaire and you will your gross national product will never recover from what Drag Race did to your nation. So, like, I would love to know what you, as a financially minded man, thinks about these things.
I'm really praying on it. This question is too much for me. It's too intelligent for me, because part of me is like, you raise a really important point, which is like part of the point of the show originally felt like we're star makers. We wanna find the next drag. I mean, it's still America's Next Drag, or the next drag superstar, whatever the country is, UK's next drag superstar. And Jonah picked a really good example, because Sasha, that's like one of my favorite seasons to watch, and I did feel immediately like, oh, she has this in the bag, but yet somehow it's even more entertaining to watch Sasha than it is to watch Bianca, who was like another one who I just felt like there was no way she wasn't winning. It's more entertaining than when Ben de la Creme is winning. Like, there are these queens who you just really feel like have it, and yet somehow the queen is entertaining. But Sasha's like a great example of like, maybe she was already a drag superstar, so is she the next one? I don't know. That's tough. And then, so like,
she's drag superstar Eternia, actually.
I'm truly. I'm cool with RuPaul, because like having a feature on a Becky G track is, to me, like, it's a gray area. The gray area of like what is too big of a superstar to be on the show is a big, fat, wide band, and I see that credit for Relisa being in that gray area. I don't think it is too big a claim to fame for me that I'm like, well, like, do you even need to be on the show? Like, are you already not a drag superstar? You're muted, but I know you're saying something sassy.
Are you saying it's not much better than singing in the shower?
Dancing
love
in
that
the mirror.
song.
I do love that song. I love Becky G, and don't get me wrong, very well streamed individual. You're absolutely right. It does mean that you are exposed to a lot of people if you have a feature on a Becky G track. But I just feel like people are not going to see your drag superstardom if they hear your feature on a Becky G track. So like, that's a really good example of like, I think you're asking the question at exactly the right point, because that is a form of like really career heightenedness where I start to wonder, like, should you be competing with the same girls that are, just like coming up from their hometown bar. But I think there's still a lot of room. I think the question is just like, does Drag Race want to start going in the direction of like really pulling from girls who are less big names? And I mean, again, this is like, I'm always like designing Drag Race products. So you do a show that is like Drag Race, like not big names, and then another show that is like people who are already huge names but just haven't done Drag Race, people who are big in the community, competing against other people who are big in the community. I think like it's starting to get to the point where doing something like that would make sense.
And, I want to like take it and elevate it a little bit further, because Jonah, one of the things that I love the most about your love of these shows, especially having now watched multiple iterations of this show and now multiple drag shows with you, and thanks to, so friend of the pod / friend of the, I guess, friend of the stream, I guess,
Yeah.
Ben, who we love. Ben is the best. Ben told us about Camp Wanakiki, which we are interested in. We just want to support all forms of drag. One of the things that I love the most, Jonah, is that you come to this with this really big open eye for what the world of drag can be. And I think one of the things that makes the UK really interesting is that it does play by its own rules. How do you feel about these girls who, like, none of them are like, let's talk about these American icons? Like, you are, and I don't mean like you're a reference queen, but like you queen the reference queens. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about these girls who don't have the same references as us, but yet operate at the same level?
I love when we're watching an international season and queens are just authentically represent that international season. I don't think any of these girls care about an American audience one bit. I just think they just want to be very British, UK, Northern Ireland, Scottish, Welsh, all the above. I think they just want to be everything and more that encompasses the islands of the UK, and you gotta respect that. They don't care that we're not gonna get the references, and I think that makes it feel better. I don't want to be pandered to. I'll look up the reference. I'll teach myself what to do. Don't you worry about me. You keep being a star.
DK, it looked like you had something. I'm sorry, you were like rocking to the beat. My bad. So speaking of rocking to the beat, one of the things that felt so good about this episode and about its matching global episode was that they focused so much on music. I am here for every fashion challenge, every acting challenge, and certainly not every girl is here to dance and sing. But I think in many ways, there is something about rhythm or sound or movement that fits every girl's drag story. And, not every girl was a dancer. Lil was so human about her shortcomings in a way that made her a superstar, in a way that made her bigger than any shortcoming could ever be. I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was strong. I thought it was bold. I'm proud of Nikki Sixx, and I think she's doing a great job in her life post-Poison. Motley Crue? Motley Crue.
There's so many. Ozzy, Steve Tyler. Yeah.
But, like, really, really, not every girl
Martin Ten Bones. Continue.
Not every girl has the dance or the song in her. And maybe you've got one or the other, or maybe you've just got the world's best fighting spirit. And I think that's what Lil showed here. And her command of honesty, her command of almost finding a way to ask for forgiveness instead of by saying, I was so bad, by saying, I'm so proud of the people I was with. I think, Jonah, you were the one who pointed out it's so rare that Ru is like, that's right, these girls lift each other up. They don't tear each other down. It's so rare that she does that, but it was such a beautiful moment to see everybody come together.
I don't know what it is about this season in particular, but Ru has been giving a lot more honest feedback, but also specifically, I guess she's softening up in her old age. I guess she hasn't had, she hasn't had her Botox, relaxatin, isn't that? I don't know.
Ozempic, that's what we're all doing right now. We're all on
Her
Ozempic.
Divatox.
Yeah, she's not on her Divatox right now.
Yeah, she's not a diva. She's not fierce. She's not a hunty about it. She's not telling them what it's worth. No, she's kind of just being really, I don't know, human. It's really rare that RuPaul acts like a human. But she seems to, I don't know if it's just that this cast has such an amazing, wonderful chemistry and they're so charismatic in a way that they kind of melted Ru's showmanship in favor of her kind of just wanting to give actual honest feedback. That's what it comes across this season, and I think that's part of why so many people are also resonating with the season. It's not just the cast. Ru seems to not only just be having fun with this season, she seems to really enjoy these girls and wants to see them succeed. I think I think one of the best examples is Kiki Snash, who, fun fact by the way, we're on episode 5. She's received critiques to every single episode. The only person to do so, the only person in Drag Race history, to my knowledge, at least we'll say English-speaking Ru hosted, English-speaking / Ru hosted, to receive critiques every single episode was Roxy Andrews. So far, Kiki's on the same track record for that. But Kiki's look wasn't the best this week, and instead of really kind of tearing her down for it, Ru offered like actual criticism of just, make the hair bigger, give us a little bit more, drag it up, make it. In a previous episode, NICO really described what drag is performance art through it's a performance art through exaggeration. Whatever that exaggeration looks like, whether it's through gender, whether it's through silhouettes, whether it's through music, whatever that exaggeration looks like, it's what it is. And I think someone was missing a little bit of the exaggeration that they're expecting at this point for UK6. And I think that there are times where they would tear people down, but they've been really kind about a lot of things, and I like that.
I just want to say, Zen, I'm not sure what and Brooklyn Heights you're referring to. I think you might be the English-speaking seasons. I just want to say, no Brooklyn slander here. We all love us a season 10 non-winner.
11.
We love that ramen meat.
I'm so sorry. I had the wrong season that she didn't win. No, I love Brooke. I really, really do. I love Canada. It's an incredible series. It gave us Bethia, one of the greatest queens in the universe. And one of the things that I think you're really right about here, Jonah, I agree. I loved Kiki's idea, but much like India Ari not winning any of the Grammys she was nominated for Acoustic Soul, which was more than Alicia Keys, and then Alicia Keys would go on with fewer nominations to win more awards. I think there is something to be said about somebody like Kiki having so much energy, so much attention, and getting a lot of spotlight early on that could mean maybe she's overlooked a few times, because I don't believe she has a win yet.
No, but I think she's one of the girls you're talking about where I feel like looking at what she's brought so far, I don't think she has the same connections as, say, Lavoie.
Yes.
And I don't think she's taken up the sewing challenge when you don't have the connections for people like Marmalade, who looks absolutely stunning tonight, and Chanel, who've created these wonderful looks and have these packages that they've made 99% of them themselves. And so I think that's where I think they're trying to be soft with her, in that they're trying to equity. They're trying, right? Is that the right word? Equatable? Wherever it's where like you treat people at the level that they should be treated at, and whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm. That's equity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of what we're even talking about with so much of this. Like, our goal is to see how this is a competition and not how this is filler queens and winner queens. And of course, that doesn't lie across just financial or title-based lines. It also has to do with talent, because like Octavia and Karen are just, okay, let's get to it. That was like one of the worst money shots in history. Just like,
it's a cat suit.
It's a cat suit. Like, do you know how often I am excited to pick up the phone and it's just Penny. Like,
Yeah.
I really, truly thought that was actually a really interesting way to say you'll never forget this. Because now that's a meme. Now that, oh, it's a catsuit is like a meme, but, you know, Kieran is still beloved and still going to be thought of as dynamic and interesting. That was a really good way to kind of maybe cheap out on the reveal.
I don't know. I think it's a risk. And I think with something like that, it can either become a Miss Vanjie or it can be a Kia, whose name we literally never remember, and I'm not going to bother to look up because that's the point. It ruined his presidential bid. This might have been funny, or it might just have been a fart. I thought it was funny, but I also kind of felt like, oh, it was just a cat suit. I don't know. I hope it bodes well, but I think you also do genuinely run a risk with stuff like this of it. We might not remember this in 3 weeks, so we'll check back and see if we remember catsuit.
I think she was gonna reveal earlier, but she saw how much the judges were kind of eating up the idea of the reveal that she was memeing it.
Yeah.
I think she was leading into it, especially.
It's a dangerous thing.
And for me, it was actually the game. That's like, I had fun with the fact that she was on stage playing with them. It would have been 10 out of 10, one of the greatest things of all time if she'd had something super cool under that.
Like a bear.
What's that?
A bear. To reference the movie.
Yes. Yeah. If she had been in a bear suit, yes, that absolutely would have been perfect. But just the game of her continuing to tease and how much everybody was cracking up over it, for me, that's still B+ A- material to me. Like I still had such a blast with that alone, that even though the reveal was not great, it actually ultimately didn't take that much away from me. Because she is so good, I really do think the only piece of advice that you can give is like, hey, you're always at a 10, and this was like a really good 8 moment that could have been an 11.
I also would have loved no reveal. I would have loved teasing the entire time and nothing.
Fully nude underneath.
Maybe save it for the lip sync if you need it. I don't know, but that would have been. Or fully nude is also, you know what? It's Europe. It's UK, but it's Europe, so I don't know.
And she would have got quadruple points if she didn't do any reveal. And Ru said, "So what do you have under there?" And she responded with, "I don't see how that's any of your business." Quadruple.
No complaints.
She literally would have won this season, even though she's already the front runner. I will say, not her fault, because she obviously didn't pick her critiques. I did not appreciate the judges saying she was essentially calling her the Beyonce of the group and saying that everybody was a copy of her. That was a little rude. I think you can uplift Kyron without diminishing the efforts of all of her other teammates.
Yeah.
It felt that one was, I was like, that's a little out of pocket. And then she said it back. Then she said it non-talked, and I was like, girl, no, don't say that. No.
We wind up in these positions where oftentimes there's a difficulty understanding how all of the critiques are thought of as realistic expressions of what the judge is thinking in that moment and not the best case scenario for a soundbite. And so as somebody who loves a good soundbite, as somebody who loves a good one-liner that says everything it needs to say to tell a story, I think sometimes we get into these soundbite moments where the judges are hoping that's the one, or the writer who wrote it for the judge is hoping that's the one. And I worry sometimes how, as somebody who literally, like, I'm famous for best thing ever, number one thing ever. I mean, but realistically, literally 3 of my favorite humans to live are on the screen right now. And like, I'm not being exaggerative when I say that. I believe one of the problems is that this panel of judges is often exaggerative when they say things like that. Yet with Kieran, we are in a position where it's like me in this moment, where it's 3 in a row this really is a best case scenario for these judges, it causes us to think about the way they overextend these sorts of compliments on people who maybe don't deserve them at the time. And it's trying to hit that moment of brilliant tagline or excellent bumper quote or YouTube memery. So I'm left wondering, how much is performance and how much is best practice critique? And no matter what, I'm unfortunately here to talk about it, but I certainly do hope more of it falls into the best practice critique than performance category. Well, as we wrap this guy down, I would love to know what everybody thought was their favorite moment from this week and what they're kind of hoping for from either one of these seasons. We have a finale for Global, and we have a good amount of season left for UK. I will say that personally, for Global, I am hoping that Nalania wins. I'm not even splitting hairs. Alyssa winning is giving prom queen to the pretty rich girl, and I don't not want that for her, but her winning is like a little too on the nose to be story satisfying. It would be if saving the cheerleader really did save the world. Fuck you, no.
She's also the nice, pretty popular cheerleader, so like it doesn't make sense for the story. She's not really an underdog. I've said from the beginning, I feel like she's like Texas in Miss Congeniality, where she makes it most of the way, but then, you know, shrugs at the audience. I don't know what to tell y'all.
So, I feel like when it comes to Global, all I'm hoping is that Nalania wins, because it would be such an upset that would maybe reinforce why the value of comparing Global drag would be valuable, because we could see how being different makes us rethink what we think is the best you can be. For UK, I just want to keep being fucked by it. Every week, I feel like I'm like, I didn't see that coming. And so I would like to continue to not see what I'm enjoying coming. It's too easy to paint a season by numbers, like I said, for Global. But I'm really excited to see how UK continues to reinvigorate a brand that maybe last season we felt got a little on the nose. And so I'd love to know what you guys think. What are your hopes for UK and Global?
Fully with you, Team Nalania. Alyssa, it's not even like the pretty rich girl winning. It's like the girl who graduated, who didn't win because of some weird thing at her in her year, but who everybody really I don't know. Like Alyssa shouldn't win.
You're in college. You can't win high school homecoming queen. Go home.
Yeah, go. Don't get out of here. I don't think Kitty has. For me, it's just not Kitty. Like I don't want to say she hasn't done anything right. It's not that she doesn't deserve it. It's just I don't super respond to Kitty. Queen is the one that I'm like, oh, you maybe it got a little nasty in the middle there, to the point where I'm maybe not rooting as much as I used to. And at the end of the day, Nalania is really this story of like this insanely talented person, kind of like. Doing that race thing where you sneak in and all of a sudden you're the one in the front and nobody saw it coming. I think she's great. I think it'd be really fun for her to win. Again, she's the only non-native English speaker. I think it would really say something that Global is more than just the colonies, Drag Race the colonies. So that's my hope. UK, hun. I have no hopes for UK. UK can't do anything. It can't get any better for me. This is such a great cast. They're having so much fun. I'm just every week I'm really stoked about this particular season and this cast. My hope is always that, like, at this point, that the judging and the production lives up to the great stuff that they are bringing.
I'm gonna jump the line. so I can do production stuff while Jonah does his. No, I agree with all the sentiments. I loved your analysis of everyone, and I only even want to add, I think Queen specifically is probably the one that has the most chops to go up against Nehelania for the Queen. And, at least then it would be something more approximating international than American and then our motherland UK. I have really been so wowed by Nehelania's performance. We all have, and it's been really amazing to see her come this far. And so I would also love to see her go all the way. This has been a really interesting thing that we have been waiting for so long. And I am not looking forward to in 2 weeks having the question looming, so what's next? But in the meantime, I will simply enjoy the anticipation of finding out who will be the global queen. And as for UK, this season is really something special, I think we feel. And these queens are really interesting. I'm excited to see everyone who's still around and how far they're going to go. And do we know it's Down Under after this next, right? With Michelle? Interesting. Okay, so at least now we are already aware. Do we have the date yet? I keep asking, and I should look it up for myself, but I love living in mystery.
I will definitely check on those dates, but while I do that, I would love to put it to if I'm a drag king. Of course, that would mean that the young man down there is my drag prince. And I would love to know, Jonah, your excitement for Global and UK, where you think these two programs are going to go and what you hope for from them.
As a quick side tangent, November 1st is the start of Down Under Season 4.
Well, then I guess I don't have to look it up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be ready.
Nar. I apologize to any of our Kiwi and Oceanic friends that were there to listen to that one.
They love you.
I'll start with UK because that one we have, the most meat still to get through. We still have the full main course. I think we just got done with the appetizer. There's still so many girls left. I'm hoping for another really good fashion showdown between Chanel and Marmalade for a design challenge, and I hope someone has a meltdown. That's my hope. Ding. And I mean, echo the same sentiments. My dream, my wish, my hope is that Nehelania takes the crown for Global All-Stars. I feel like retroactively it'll make the season all the while worth it. It really will just be a season 5 jinx moment. I won't be mad if Alyssa gets the crown. Truthfully, at the end of the day, I won't be mad. It is what it is, and if they wanted to give Alyssa her crown, give her her crown. Give her her crown. Let her have it. It's all make-believe anyway.
It's a set, Ru. It's a cardboard.
But I do hope people come back around with the idea of Global All-Stars. I know that it was just revealed that they just, I believe, got the go-ahead to be able to film in Colombia again for season 2.
Oh, wow.
So it's not officially announced. There's no one casted. None of that is, we don't know when it'll be. But they do have the go-ahead. I believe that's what it is. It's something to involve with that. So, if you weren't a fan of this, I guess they're threatening us again with another one. But I hope that this season didn't turn off enough people to get the buy-in for Global All-Stars. Because I do think this will replace Versus the World.
You think they go away with individual versus the worlds for each individual series in favor of one universal global?
Yes, because I think the other international series are going to try to do what España did and hold out for their own All-Stars. That's what España got. España was told you can either have your own All-Stars or you can do a Versus the World, and they chose an All-Stars.
I actually think that they're all going to try and do both, and that Global is actually US's Versus the World because every Versus the World is so populated with US girls. I think that Global is US getting its own Versus the World and having an All-Stars, and I think Canada is going to get Canada All-Stars and keep having Versus the World, and I think Down Under is going to do the same dumb shit. And the reason I think it's a little bit dumb is because I think like in US, you've got like 672 girls. The US is like Pokemon Generation 5. But I sort of feel a little bit like at times, sometimes the international editions are told that they have to operate with fewer girls at a lower budget, at fewer episodes. And so, like, good luck doing your all-stars. It's sort of like all-stars. And by that, I mean all people who have starred in the show previously. So we'll see what happens. But, Jonah, I'm really eager to see, because I'd never even thought about that they could end the Versus the World series. And now I'm going to be keenly on the lookout for if any more of those are announced. Thank you so much for putting that on my radar. It's a really important way to think about the franchise. I do hope that this is the equivalent of US Versus the World. But if you say US Versus the World, you sort of sound like a nationalist, and that's different, and we don't want that. So, anyway, Jonah, one of the best things in my entire life is getting to be your pops and getting to be the guy that thinks the world of you, and getting to be somebody who learns from you, because I wouldn't be a drag king with my very own drag king masks sitting behind me, with my new favorite drag king being Landon Sider. Thank you so much for that. If it weren't for you telling me about things I would never consider. And so I'm so grateful for the way you've reshaped my experience and reshaped my worldview. And when we get into these sorts of debates, please know that we still, cuddle up and curl up, because it's just debates. It's certainly nothing personal. But I want you to know I validate and respect all of your thoughts on the matters that we talked about earlier, in case it seemed a little tense to anybody. But until next time, where can everybody find you on the internet? Because everybody already knows you think the world of me.
I mean, I do. You're my world. My whole world. This is my family right here. My pack. You can find me and my entire pack, well, just me, I guess, specifically, on the internet at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
All right. Jonah, one of the things that's so fascinating about the way... Oh, family.
What a family board! Yay! Thank you for the opportunity.
One of the things that's so fascinating about the way you've influenced this show is I love your screen caps. I love the way you and KEVO work together to influence the visual outcome of this series. So thank you so much for your influence on what we look like and for where we can find you. Speaking of people who influence the visual outcome of this series, I just want to say this dummy right below me hauled ass today to get the video opening ready for this. I got him so many videos, so many graphics, so last second. And despite all that, he still managed to get your favorite drag kings, favorite drag queens promotional up. I just want to say that like all smart men, I am a simp for a real sexy lady who tells me what to do. And if a lady wanted to tell me what to do, it could certainly be this lady. Luxurious Temptation, Mama, I love you so much. You are so great. You are brilliant, and you should all go check her out. If you are anywhere near my buddies, which you can check out at 4416 Clark Street out in the Chicago area. It's an amazing thing out this Saturday, and go do your best to go support Luxurious Temptation, who is one of the best queens in the entire universe. Look at how fucking amazing she looks over there on the left. Such a good shot. She looks amazing. I believe you call that the money shot. So
luxurious, but damn, Delta Bad Hand is a really good drag name.
Ooh.
So, KEVO, you run this show like nobody's business. And where can everybody find you online?
You can find me ostensibly over on the socials. If I click that over there and this over here at KEVO Really. That's KEVOREALOY. I clicked you, damn it. This mouse, I tell you. But I do the best I can, and I appreciate the accolades, and we appreciate everything you do for us, Fearless Captain.
And speaking of people I appreciate everything about, the gentleman next to me, sir, I adore you. I think you are wonderful. You really put in a full day and still managed to show up here looking unbelievably handsome, like some sort of grown-up version of Tim Hunter. So where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
Or a young, sexy Spielberg.
That's oxymoronic, but I'll take it. You can find me at TK Elemental on all the socials. And Nico, where can everybody find you?
Nico Action, NICOACTION, Nico Action Music, NICOACTIONMUSIC. Of course, over on HTML, X is for podcast, X is for show, all your socials. You guys can check me out being a big old simp for Luxurious Temptation, as well as an amazing fan of people like Bob. We got to see Bob, the This Is Wild tour in Red Bank this past Thursday as a family. It was amazing. Friend of the pod, Ben, joined us. It was amazing. Of course, so did Hot Older Boyfriend. Hey. It was a really great time. Everybody had a wonderful time. And it's been a really great opportunity to celebrate and enjoy drag this week. 2 great episodes and a wonderful live show. And you got it? You got it, Kevo?
No, I'm trying. Give me 1 more minute. I grabbed the wrong one. This is the one I wanted. No one's looking at the camera on that one.
So one of the big things we've been talking about lately is how much I've come into my big Greek boy era, right? Just having a good time with being a dumb big Greek boy. And the first thing Bob says when I meet her is, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Nico." And she's like, "Greek?" And I'm like, "Yes." And we all start laughing. And she's like, "Why? Why are you laughing?" And I'm like, "Because." And we explain. And she was so sweet. And she was like, "My hands are so cold." And I was like, "My head is so hot." And so she held my head. And Bob,
I'm only mad they didn't get a picture of her with her hands on your head. That would have been great. But it probably just would have been her back to the camera. So it's fine.
I only wish I wasn't like 3 whiskey sours in at that point because I look a little bit gremlin-y, but end of the day,
you're good.
We had a great time, and I love this show. I love these people, incredible humans, and could not wait to do this episode and can't wait to do a whole lot more. So don't forget to check us out all over at X is for Show, X is for Podcast, HTML, and more. Check our individual socials. Do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe so we can make the show you're looking for and keep us in this algo. But 3 things you guys can do for us. Number 1, please stay safe. Number 2, please be brave. But number 3, evolve daily, because who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today, wow. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And we can't wait to celebrate the dream with you tomorrow. So until then, put your hands behind your head like this sexy boy, lay back, and have a good time, and we'll see ya.